Today I'm cooking beef cheeks and it's something I've never done before. Hi, welcome along to Barbecue Life, home of the Kamado Bono. As I said, we're doing beef cheeks today. I've never done them before. I've done loads of research and we're going to be cooking them on the Kamado Bono. So we jump straight in. We've got these beef cheeks. I've already removed the silver skin from the outside. I did record it, but I kept knocking the camera, so the footage is absolutely awful. So I'm just going to jump straight to the point that they are already got the silver skin off. But it's nice and easy. You just slide the knife underneath, pull up towards it so we don't lose too much meat, and just take that all the way off, and it gives us a really nice surface to be putting our rubs and things on. So you can see that there's plenty of intermuscular fat through these, so I'm hoping that these are really going to render down beautifully and give me some wonderful pulled beef cheeks by the end. So we need to get our rubs and binders on today, so I'm using Worcester sauce as my binder, which I always do with beef. I find that it is the best binder for beef. So we're just going to get a little sprinkling of that on, get it rubbed in, and then we are going on with my rub. So this is umami oomph powder. This is my rub, only available currently on the Barbecue Life website, and the concept of this is that it uses completely no salt. So we use salty flavours so that it still tastes of salt, but it's got no salt been added to it, so our sodium level is much lower. In fact, it is 0.1 grams of salt naturally occurring in our salty products in there, compared to 20% on some products that are in the supermarkets. And I've even heard horror stories of some barbecue rub brands out there that have got as much as 46% of their rub is salt. Salt is cheap, so it's a great ingredient for companies to be adding in. But anyway, let's move on from the rub. If you want to know more about it, we've already got a launch video of the rub on there where we go through loads of facts and figures. But we're just going to get this sprinkled on to the beef cheeks and get them all completely covered, and then put them off to one side for half an hour to an hour, just to let that rub work its way into the meat. And while we're doing that, we can light our Kamado. So we're going in with some Texas Club charcoal into the Kamado today. Get a couple of fire lighters in there, but we don't want to let our Kamado temperatures run away too much. We want about 130 degrees C for our cooking temperature today. So we've put all of our deflectors in the bottom and our grill grates and everything in while things are warming up, and we've got our vents set to 2.5 rows of the dots on the bottom, and the top vent is set to number 1. The only other thing that we do need to add to our Kamado once we've got our stabilised temperature is I want to be adding a drip pan to this cook. So I've just got an old paella pan. These are available on Amazon, or there's some on the Kamado King's website as well. And we're going to put that on top of the deflectors. But to stop that from smoking too much when our fats drip out, if you take a couple of pieces of balled up foil and put them on top of your deflector, and then put your drip pan on top of there, then you don't get that heat directly out of the deflectors coming straight into the bottom of the pan, and you get a lot less smoking on there. If you wrap your drip pan in foil, just like I've done as well, it makes your washing up so much easier at the end. So if you want to be adding smoking woods, then you can at this point. So I just dropped a piece of apple in there, just popped that deflector up and chucked it in. But I did forget to hit record on that. So we've got a nice chunk of apple in there, and we need to get our beef cheeks on. So we're just going to put them on the grill over that drip pan so that it catches anything that comes out the bottom. And we just want to shut that grill and leave it at that 130 degrees C ballpark figure for 2.5 hours, just while that smoke's working its way into the meat. And we're keeping our temperature nice and low, so we're rendering down fats, and it's going to give us a beautiful pulled product at the end. It's nice and super tender. So after that 2.5 hours, we can go in, and they're still tough as old boots. They've only reached about 50-60 degrees C by this point. Now we need to be going into a Dutch oven or a casserole dish or something like that, or even if you want to put them into your drip pan underneath so that you've got all of them fats that have dripped out, and just cover that with foil, you can do that as well. But we are using a enamelled cast iron pot. I love the fact that these are enamelled because I cannot stand the upkeep of normal cast iron. Loads of people love it. Me, I haven't got time for that. These videos take ages to produce and edit, I haven't got time to be oiling my cast iron. I absolutely love enamelled ones. So into here we're going to be going in with, so we've got 2 reduced salt stock cubes, we've got 2 teaspoons of honey, we've got some barbecue sauce from Waz Hut. I can never pronounce what this is called. I believe it's called Carp Dame, but I'll show you a picture of that on the screen anyway. We've got 100 ml of water and a glug of apple cider vinegar. And then we want to get the cheeks in, and if the water's not really covering them, then we can top up with a bit more water on the top. We want a vast majority of them covered, and this is just going to get them braising so that we can really work the fats down and cook them slowly so that we get a beautiful pulled product at the end. So the water I used, I made sure was boiling so that we've not got to wait for that to be coming up to too much temperature on there. So then we just want to get the lid on that cast iron pan and get it back into the Bono. And now this is where I can't tell you how long things are going to take. We always cook to temperature and not to time when we're cooking barbecue. So we just got to leave these on there until they get tender. It could take an hour, it could take 5. It depends how big your cheeks are, what sort of temperature they were when they went into the braising liquid. So there is no rhyme or reason on here. So all I do is I come back about every hour and I probe, I check for temperature and I check for tenderness. So 3.5 hours in, the slightly smaller beef cheek, we've gone in, it's hit that magic number of 96, 97 degrees C, and it is nice and tender. But the one next to it isn't. So the smaller one, we're going to take it off, wrap it up in a bit of foil, stick a bit of barbecue sauce in there if you wanted to. I use that Waz Hut one again that went into our sauce. Wrap that up, get it into a cooler, and we let this other one on there. So again, I don't know how long this is going to take. When I came back out the next hour, it had already reached that 96 degrees C when the first one had come off, but it just wasn't quite tender enough. When we come back out an hour later, it only raised another 2 degrees to 98 degrees C, but it was now nice and tender. So we get that one off and wrapped and into the cool box with the other one. We want to leave them to rest for 2.5 hours. So the first one had 3.5 hours, the second one had 2.5 hours. After that, take them out of the foil, get them onto a plate, and we can start to pull them. So as I started to pull them, I could see this gluey-like substance in there, and I was like, oh, what have I done wrong? I'm heartbroken was probably the best way to put it. I was like, I've completely messed this up. So I'm in a group chat on WhatsApp with lots and lots of other people, hundreds of people that Smoke and Sear sorted it out. I sent some pictures and everyone come back with, that's exactly how they're supposed to look. So when I've done my research for beef cheeks, no one showed me this gluey-like substance because it's not the most appealing thing to the eye. So I tasted it, I didn't like the consistency of it in my mouth. I went back onto WhatsApp and everyone's saying what you now need to do is get it back into that braising liquid from before, kind of toss it through that, and it doesn't break down the gluiness, but it kind of sucks in some of that moisture and it makes it a lot more appealing in your mouth afterwards. So we did that. I didn't film it because I'd gone into this cook hasn't gone very well mode and just was trying to rescue it. So filming the content from this point didn't really happen. But I did get a picture of it on the plate once I realised that I have managed to rescue this, but it's not a rescue, it's how we should be serving it. I just didn't know. So we've got it on a plate. You can see it looks much more appealing and it was really nice in the end. We served this with the pulled pork from last week's video done on the Ninja, and some mac and cheese, which is going to be next week's video, and some barbecue beans I had in the freezer, which we're going to revisit that recipe in the relatively soon future and get a new video of that one. But if you have come this far in the video, then please do make sure that you subscribe to the channel, make sure that you like the video, and leave me a comment underneath to let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.